Even though I guess yesterday was MLK Day, it feels like it's a Monday. Like, oh, we really should have had today. Oh, look at that. Y'all already joining me. It's so good to see y'all. Ooh, what's up? I love Third Ward. I'm so ready for that new exhibit that y'all have coming. So y'all gonna have the block party popping. Definitely gonna be a part of that. Hey, Mama Shorty. What's up? Sending love from the Triple D. Hopefully you're warm and safe out there. I know those streets are bad. I know, look, I'm sure you got your hookah at home, so you'll be just fine. Oh, what's up, Mitz? The DJ, shout out to you for joining. Hey, best friend. How you doing? What's up, what's up? Oh, my goodness. So glad everybody's here on time. What? Look, I'm so ready for this show. I know that there were a lot of technical difficulties last time that prevented us from being able to host the show last time. Still pending to see if we're going to get that rescheduled. But if not, show still moves on. We still have another tax and finance guru that'll be able to help and answer all of you guys' questions that you had for the previous guest. So don't worry, I still got those questions in the chamber. I'm still gonna be able to get those addressed for y'all. So we are waiting on our guests. I see y'all wearing my Morehouse College shirt. Shout out to MLK representing. Typically, if I go to any state or any area, what's up, y'all? There's our guest. Go ahead and send him his request. But yeah, typically if I go to any state that has HBCU located in it and I'm in the city, I try to go to that university and our guest. Woo-woo. So I have a lot of HBCU, although I am a Texas Southern University alumni, Tiger, TSU, all day, the Texas Southern University, the Texas Southern University. Make sure you say it right. But yes, we support all HBCUs. What's up, Will?
What's up, man? What's going on,
fam?
I'm well, man. How you living?
Hold on. Let me turn my volume up.
Make sure I got mine up. You hear me okay?
There we go. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear. You got me?
I'm sorry, you can't hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
You can hear me?
Yep.
Hold on. Because I can't hear you, but I'm sure I know why that is. Okay. Give me 1 second. You know what? I'm actually just going to do this really quick. New mic check. Can you hear me now? Mm-hmm. Cool. And I can hear you. Sorry about that.
Perfect. Good. All good.
Always happens when we're trying new things, right? Technology. But it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you, fam. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Are you out in Dallas
now?
Yeah,
I'm at home. I'm at home. Like it's rare, but I'm at home.
I know, right? Look, I'm like, where are you tuning in from? You be gone.
No doubt. How's H-Town treating you?
H-Town is good. The weather is not as crazy as it is down there, which is always good. I think, and today's Tuesday. I think tomorrow we're supposed to be in like the 60s or the 70s. So yeah, the cold don't ever last too long here. That's for sure. Okay. Like, how are you guys holding up? Are you stuck inside?
Yeah, we could. We had some snow yesterday, but it's mostly all melting now. It's a little bit of black ice. I almost slipped earlier, but I'm a player, so I caught myself. But otherwise, It's all good.
Okay, that's good. Better than slipping and sliding in the cars. I think for the most part, people that are like closer to Dallas, like in Huntsville and stuff, like they got ice and they got snow. So there were a lot of bad roads coming into the city. But for the most part, Houston as a whole, we've all been pretty good.
No doubt. Glad to hear that. Okay. Glad to hear it.
But first things first, here on the Melanin Mic, we would like to welcome you and thank you, Mr. Will Baggett, for joining us today. Thank you. And we would like to know, what did you do to love on somebody today, even if that somebody was you?
Ooh, what did I do? I went to the gym today. You know what I mean? Health is wealth. I heard a quote that once said that nothing looks as good as healthy feels. And I really wanted to just make sure, even started back last year, making sure health was a top priority, and the longevity was the top priority. So, I took care of my health today. So that's a win.
Yes, that's definitely a win. I can say I've been having a very hard time like finding a good gym. So I think I am at the point where I'm ready to like create my own home gym and just like so although I really do like the sauna part. That's really
Yeah,
what be selling me. It's the
no,
sauna. But now like the gym that I typically go to, the sauna is like always out of order. And I'm like, okay, y'all are really that's what I'm paying for if we're being honest,
yeah,
because
fair enough.
I can put these weights in my house somewhere. So
Right.
yeah, so I'm
Feel you.
really at the point where the morning walks are my bread
Yeah,
and butter. 'Cause
that gratitude walks in the morning, like top tier, like 10 out of 10 would recommend. So,
yes,
yep,
I like the fresh air, to be honest. I
no
think
doubt.
starting a day off, fresh air, new sun is definitely, even if you're only out there for like 5 to 10 minutes, y'all, the morning walks, they
Yeah,
make a difference.
absolutely, no doubt
Let's
about
see,
it.
for me, I spent some time with my dog this morning, Mr. Tankley. I
Dogs.
guess he was inside. Yeah, he was inside a lot because of the cold. So
Yeah,
we were able to get him outside this morning and stretch his legs, and he had a lot of fun this morning. So I definitely loved on my dog today before I
so
had to start.
one dog. I thought you had two. I said you had dogs. Okay, one dog.
No,
What kind of dog do you
he
have?
he is enough.
No
He is
doubt.
an XL
Okay.
bully. He is more than enough. He'll
XL,
be one.
like
Yes,
extra
he'll be
large.
one in March,
Okay.
but he's pretty big. He's
Okay.
almost about 100 pounds now. He's about 97 pounds. So
Okay.
yeah, he's a big dog.
Okay.
So he has to
No,
get outside.
that is what's
He definitely is a part of the workout,
no
like
doubt.
for sure.
I can
So to jump right into the bread and butter, Mr.
mm-hmm.
Will Baggett, you are a professional keynote speaker, and this is something that you decided to take
Mm-hmm.
on after working in like, okay, I'm not a football person, so I don't want to say the titles
Mm-hmm.
wrong, but I'm going to say after working in college football to a certain extent,
Yeah.
you decided, to become more of a professional keynote speaker. So can you tell us how you transitioned from that college football position, and then I guess tell everybody what exactly it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what made you actually decide to just go the public speaking route?
Yeah, for sure. So I worked in college athletics, college football for about 11 years total. Started off working with the American Football Coaches Association back in 2012, and then moved on to working with the college football playoff after that. Then did some stuff with the Super Bowl after that, and then ever since then, even like concurrent, I've been involved with the Peach Bowl and volunteering at the Cotton Bowl. So anything that's tied to a bowl, I'll probably be involved with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
The years. And I love, for me, like my whole like kind of life's premise is creating experiences for people and human development, right? So anytime I can help create an experience for someone that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
memorable, that they enjoy, like that's a win for me.
Mm-hmm.
Along with that, I want to make sure people are getting developed, right? You know what I mean? So that's kind of the duality that I've kind of chosen to take in my life and career. So in terms of the transition, so I was a professional moonlighter, you know what I mean? For a number of years, I was moonlighting my behind off. So when I got to the CFP, I got there in August of 2017,
I'm
and I did my first speech.
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. CFP.
Oh, sorry, college football playoff. My bad.
Okay.
My
Okay.
bad.
Okay. Look,
Get,
I'm
get,
just trying to make sure I
yeah, get me
follow.
together. No, get me together. You was good. So I started working there in August of 2017, but my first speech was in February 2017. So I kind of came into it, but I was still trying to grow the business. And so throughout 2017, I may have did like 3 speeches total. So I was just kind of ramping up. But then as I was working there, I realized that they gave me 25 vacation days, like off rip, even just walking in the door. So
Okay.
I bet if I can do
That's a
25
that's a
speeches
dub.
at this amount of price point, bet, you know what I mean? I can be straight. So I just began to leverage my network, right? And so in college athletics, most athletic departments have what you call a student athlete development or student athlete enhancement coordinator or director,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so with that, I'm able to kind of contract with them, and then they bring me in to speak to their student athletes, and also do things in the corporate sector as well. So not just working with universities and
Mm-hmm.
athletes, but that's the primary focus, of what I've been doing. But in terms of transition, to be honest with you, I was kind of like a forced transition. I've heard that necessity can be the mother of invention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually left my job in early 2020 to pursue a franchise. So I bought a franchise
Mm-hmm.
gym, and then COVID hit, and they put
Right.
all these gym restrictions out, and I'm like, bruh, and like I dropped like a lot of money to get this going, and so
Right. Big investment.
yeah. Right, exactly. And so that's when I realized I had to kind of go full on in this. And at first, I didn't have the confidence to do it because I didn't think I could sustain with it because it's a
Right.
lumpy business. Like there are months of the year where I know for sure like nothing's happening. Like usually in December, dead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Summertime, July, probably dead.
Right. Because
So
there's no classes, there's no
yeah,
school.
right, exactly. Because I was working on kind of the academic calendar and following that, and that's when I kind of started expanding to the corporate sector, so I
Fill
wouldn't be tied to certain months.
some
Right,
space. Right.
right,
Fill some
exactly.
space.
Fill some space. So that was the main thing. I kind of was forced into it, but I think what really helped was I wrote my first book at 26 and released that in 2016, and
Mm-hmm.
then about 4 or 5 months later, I did my first speech. But the long story short, the way that that happened is a guy named Tim Duncan, and not the basketball player, but
Oh,
he is.
look, I'm like, Tim Duncan. I
Yeah,
know
it's
who that
crazy.
is.
The crazy
Basketball's
part
my
is this guy
thing.
also
Football is
like
not.
six. Yeah, he's crazy. It's crazy because this guy's also like 6'11", and his name is Tim. It's the craziest thing, but it's the different dude, right? So he played basketball at University of Memphis,
Hmm.
where I'm going next week to speak. But he actually brought me in after he bought copies of my book, and let me do a book review with his staff and like 7 people. He was the AD at Clayton State University, a Division II school. And when I got finished with the book review, I slid over kind of a sheet of paper to him, kind of promoting my speaking business. I had done 0 speeches total at that time, but I was going to church with some really, really good people and still do.
Hey, man.
But they were in, I was in Atlanta at the time. I live in Dallas now. And there was Miss Rose actually took my headshots for me that I've
Okay.
used on 90% of my graphics. And so I just took some new ones. She took those for me for free.
Hey, man.
I didn't have the money to pay for
Love
them,
a good
right?
connection.
Yeah, I was driving Uber at the time.
Been
And
there.
took them pictures for me, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I paid her handsomely a couple of years ago
Hey,
to say thank you, right?
man.
My other guy, Onesimus, was a graphic designer, and he put together all my branding kits for me, my one-sheeters, everything, and I was able to slide it across the table to him and look really professional, even though I had done 0 gigs. And he
That's
said, "Hey,
lovely.
we don't really have a budget for you, but we'll pay you $10 a book." He bought 30 more books from me, and $300 was my first speaking engagement payment. So my first one was paid, and it's kind
Hey,
of rare
man.
for most speakers, and the
Yes.
rest is yeah.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
Yeah.
So, just to clarify, because you do this in the
Mhm.
professional setting as well as, like you said, in the student athlete or setting, is there a particular message
Mhm.
that you convey when you're having these speeches, or does it change, based upon the crowd that you're talking
Absolutely.
to?
So that's a great question. So typically the best speakers only have 1 to 2 signature
Okay.
talks, right? Or signature, you know what I mean? So if you're doing DEI and financial literacy and mental health and you're doing personal branding, like you probably ain't that good at any of them, right? You know what I mean? Just to be honest with you,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
so my whole kind of approach is leadership, personal branding, and soft skills, right? And so the way I kind of made my name was I came up with a program called the Executive Image Workshop where I taught professional presence and I got certified in body language coaching. And so the way that even came, I'll make this super short, walked into a room I wasn't supposed to be in one time and
Be
heard
like
people,
that.
yeah, and heard people getting coached up on body language and professional development. And I'm thinking, where am I supposed to learn this? And so I got a pitcher of water because I wasn't supposed to be in there. It was all C-suite executives. I
Mhm.
started pouring water in people's cups like the help. And I was taking
Hey,
notes on my hand, right, while I was just
look.
and then a few years later, I kind of jumped out there and I wanted to create something that wasn't as rigid, you know what I mean, for the C-suite, but bring that down and temper it down to where student athletes can understand it and embody it and give them a chance. And so the major premise behind that was I'm from
Right.
Mississippi, right? Where I'm from, not everyone may not have the best vernacular, right? They're very
Right.
intelligent people, but we talk a little country sometimes.
Yeah,
It
we
comes
have
out of
that
me.
Ebonic country
Yeah,
slang down
absolutely. It
here
comes out
in the
of me
South.
sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's
But it
that.
doesn't mean we aren't talented. It doesn't mean we don't deserve
Hmm.
opportunities. And so I wanted to show people how to present themselves, right? Whether through body language, how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you hold your hands, how you dress, and I want to give people a chance. And so that's how I really made my name. And then over time, it evolved into like personal branding and leadership. A lot of what I'm doing now as well. But a lot of it's all intertwined. You know what I mean? A lot of these
Hmm.
things are very tied together. But I try to stay true to myself because now NIL is a huge topic in the whole athletics realm,
Okay.
and that's not really my lane, right? So I try
Right.
to stay in my lane and stay true to what I am. It shifted, but I think when you create a message, your audience will attract to that message instead of
Hmm.
just trying to find a message that's going to fit an audience.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. So can you say it when you did start, did you have a particular strategy to say that you were going to reach a profit? Because as you stated, you had quit, or you separated from this particular job in 2020 and decided to go full on entrepreneur, so working for yourself during the rest of the time. So did you did you have a particular strategy on how to create a profit or how you were going to make money for yourself, or was this like a walk on faith?
Yeah, no, honestly, so I have a business partner with my company, Monetize Your Message, where we train speakers. Next conference coming up, fall 2024. Be on
Oh,
the lookout. But Darren was instrumental in getting me coached up to learn how to do this the right
mm-hmm.
way. Because I mentioned I had Onesimus to design some stuff. And when I got to Darren, I had like all kind of papers and structures and if it's this many people, I'll do it for this price, right?
Right.
And he told me to take all that stuff and throw it in the trash, right? And he
Wow.
really taught me how to do it correctly. And so the strategy for making a profit was, hey, this is what I do. I'm going to ask for payment,
Uh-huh.
right? I think sometimes we try to make it more difficult than it
Yeah.
is, but you also have to look like what you're asking for, if that makes sense, right?
Yes,
Like
yes,
your
it
brand,
does.
you know what I mean? Your branding and your strategy and your approach to your business, it has to look like you want to get paid for it, right? Because if everything's in disarray and you're not organized and you're not sharp, you're not responsive, then people won't expect
Right.
to pay you, right? So you have to create that expectation, that aura, and really just make sure people know what you're trying to do. So I asked for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I set my rates based on my experience at that time. And then also I got a strategy that I learned from my mentor. I was actually going to a gig one time at North Carolina A&T, and I was going to charge them like $1,800 because I was just trying to get some money. And
Right.
my mentor said, "Hey, ask them before you do that. Ask them how much they have allocated, for this program."
For
I'm
the
like,
department.
"Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
well, just for the specific
Okay.
program, right? For the specific session,
Mm-hmm.
right?" And so I asked him. I said, "Yeah, by the way, how much do you have allocated?" He says, "Oh, we have 5K," and that's how I got my first 5K speaking,
Hello.
just by asking that
Look.
one question. Like that is a true story, right?
Uh-huh.
And so some of it's just asking. A lot of it's just branding, and then also, like I said, I wanted to make sure I was in the right rooms in the right spaces. And so the good thing about athletics is, one, you have to be good. You have to be honestly, you have to be damn good, right? Because
Right.
people have short attention spans.
Yes.
And so as a speaker, you have to create an experience they can't find on their phones.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
This
And
is so
so
true.
right. So when I'm going into these spaces, like I'm live, I'm moving and grooving, you know what I mean? So we're rolling. So that's a huge part of it. But as far as the strategy beyond that, what I did is I create bundles, right? And so when you walk in and you're just selling just a speech, that can be attractive, right? But also, if I'm selling, hey, I'm going to do a pre-keynote dinner for
Yeah.
stakeholders or elite athletes.
Mm.
If I'm going to give away free copies of my book, because here's a
It's
fun
an
fact,
incentive
right? It's an
type of thing.
incentive because schools, universities are organized as nonprofits. They're not for profits, and so you can give away and donate your book to them and get a gift in
It'd be a
kind
right.
letter
Oh,
in return, and you can get a tax write off from that, right? And so, yeah, so there's a
free
whole
game,
strategy
y'all.
around writing
Free
the book.
game.
Right. Yeah. People like, yeah, like that's why I tell people just go ahead and write the book because the credential, the credibility it gives you is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely out of this world. So the strategy was to go in, be the best they've ever seen, treat people well, follow up with, thank you cards with gifts. And yeah, that was kind of the main strategy. There's no secret sauce to it, but you got to be damn good.
That's amazing. So, like you said, you started with zero speeches, with zero keynotes, and now you're out here marketing yourself. And you've been in places not only in college football, and that ranges from HBCUs to PWIs, but
Right.
also to the NFL. So
Right.
when you're, I don't want to say
Yeah.
shopping for jobs, but
Yeah.
when you're looking to market yourself to these brands, is there a particular
Mhm.
way that you're selling yourself in order to be able to capture this, or are there, like you said, rooms that you have to step in to be able to offer this type of
Yeah, that's a
service?
great question. So the way that I did it, so you have the bundle piece, and that's kind of when you're already kind of over the hill, and they're going to get ready to bring you in, right? You're
Right,
negotiating price and
right,
rates at that point in time.
right.
That's kind of jumping ahead. Now, if I go backwards in the way that I did it, now there's a lot of different ways to do it, but the way that I
Mhm.
did it is I kind of had this 5-step system. So the first thing I did was I'm going to create a graphic every time I'm going to speak. I don't care where it is, Boys and Girls Club, the church. I don't care. A
Yes,
graphic is going out because you
yes,
create that
visuals.
impression,
Yeah,
right, that you are busy. Because people, they if you look like you're booked and busy, then like, okay, maybe he's worth something, right? Maybe he's not
right,
trash, right? And
right.
so the first thing, a graphic's going out every single time. And sometimes people can get caught in their heads and thinking like, man, am I doing too much? I just put a graphic out the other day. Listen, if you haven't pissed anybody off by 10 a.m.,
Do
you're
it.
not marketing hard enough. You know what I'm saying?
Post
Put it
it.
out there
Post
and
it.
just go for it, right? And so, because your bills have your name
I
on them,
love
so you have to make sure you're thinking about that, right? So
it.
that's number one. The graphics was number one. Number two, I request a photographer or a videographer every time I go to speak. And
Okay.
that works well in the athletics sector because they have these people on staff already. So
Right.
it's nothing but like an email or a phone call for them to pop somebody over real quick, and
Hmm.
I can get that content. So even if I didn't get paid for a specific engagement, I have that content that I can
Yes.
recycle and reset, right? And I can chop the video up, put the graphics out, put the photos out.
Yes.
And so
Content is
there's
everything.
exactly. So graphics, photo, video. The fourth thing is the one thing that a lot of people miss out on, and that's surveys, right? Seeing
Mm.
if you what
Feedback.
hit and what didn't hit. Like if I'm being honest with you, I had a couple of misses early in my career because I was a little bit male centric in my images, in my visual, in my PowerPoint.
Okay.
Like I missed the mark, right?
Right.
Especially in the times we're living in now, you have to make sure everyone feels included,
Yes.
right? And so I made that mistake, and I got that feedback from surveys, right? And so I was able to correct that and move forward from there. And so surveys is the fourth thing. The fifth thing, well, the next thing rather, is you're going to have a good follow-up process. So actually, you know what? I skipped that. Testimonials. So from that survey, you're going to get some positive stuff
Right.
and you get not so positive stuff. The not so positive, you internalize that. That's never going to see the light of day. But the really positive stuff, that can be testimonial
Right.
content that you take, put onto a graphic, put on your LinkedIn, put
Right.
wherever, repurpose it. You know what I mean? And that's also showing, hey, credibility from someone that's not your own voice or not you saying
Right.
you're good. And then the last thing is a great follow-up process. And so every time I go into a speaking engagement, I just started this when I hired my virtual assistant last year. Everybody's going to get a handwritten thank you note from me. 30 days later, they're going to get a gift, such as like cookies or cupcakes, whatever. I'm going to send them a link, and they're going to be able to select which treat they want. It's going to get mailed directly to them. I touch none of it. And then in December, they get a whole different gift. Everybody that I spoke to that entire year gets a whole gift.
Oh, that
Yeah.
I might have to
Yeah,
steal
a follow
that.
up is where it's at because what happens is when people may receive that gift, they say, "Oh, thank you so much for the gift," and then you can go in and say, "Hey, is there anyone else you may know in your network that could benefit, from my speech or my services?" Right? Because that's a warm lead. You've done a great job. You're still engaging them at that point, and that's the time to ask, and that's how you expand your business. And so, my business has been 100% referral for the last 6 years, right? And so you say
Really?
marketing yourself, like I do pictures and video and graphics. Now I have friends that have like 5 VAs in the Philippines cranking it out right now. You know what I mean? And that's work for them. My
Mhm.
business partner, Darren Roberts, is the number one voice in sports on LinkedIn. Like he does content marketing and he's the best at it, right?
Mhm.
So it all depends on what your kind of approach is. But I come from a branding and video and visual kind of background. And
Mhm.
so that's what worked best for me.
Okay. Okay. So we have a question
Yeah,
from the
sure.
crowd. They would like to know, is there any advice that you have for athletes that have no direction after sports? And I think, I guess to give a little context, we know that student athletes, it's all
Mhm.
about going to the league, right? That's the
Yeah,
dream. That's like what's implanted in them from little league all the way,
yeah,
all the way through college.
yeah.
So yes, I guess to reiterate, do you have any advice for the athletes that don't necessarily get to where they're going once their college career is over, or what they dreamed of once their
Yeah,
college career is over?
absolutely. That's a question I deal with every single time. Every single time I go and speak somewhere because I know the
Right.
realities of it, and I've seen my guys. I've had guys that have deleted their social medias that have just lost their entire identities. And
Yeah,
so
just disappear.
my best advice is to understand first and foremost, you have to do some introspection. I call it the 3 I's, and actually Darren came up with this, but he let me use it. The first thing is you have to understand introspection. So you got to take some time to yourself, get by yourself, and look deep within yourself and figure out who am I really,
Right.
right? And who did you want to be before the experts got
Mm,
involved? Like, did you want to work on cars? Did you
mm,
like building stuff with Legos, right? What did you
right.
want to be or who did you want to be before people told you what you should be doing?
Mm,
That's number one, because sometimes, and I'm not knocking this because I'm in real estate as well, but some people will just go and try to find something that's just as
easy.
sexy or just as
Mm,
attractive just for the sake of
right.
ego, right? Oh, I'm in real estate, but you really don't like it. You really like working
Right.
on cars, but it's not as sexy,
Right.
right? Or you're a great electrician or a great plumber,
Hmm.
but you really, that's not really sexy when you're, you know what I mean, when you're talking about in the broader scape
Right.
or broader scape. So the first thing is introspection, figuring out who you are, going back to your childhood, right? And a lot of these guys have been playing since they were 5 years old, so I get that. But there's something else you did as well, I hope, right? Because
Right.
what happens is by the time most of these guys, and even young ladies as well, I don't want to be,
Right. We're not
when,
sexist.
yeah, when they get, right, when they get to age 22, 23, 25, whatever it is, you've developed a skill and only one skill that no longer serves you for the rest of your life.
Right.
You're at age 25, and if the life expectancy is 75, give or take, that's 1/3 of your life that you spent this one thing, doing this one thing, but it no longer has much market value unless you go and
Right.
coach, or unless you go and tell people about
Right.
your experiences, right? Or
Right.
going as a speaker. So the first thing is introspection. The second thing is iteration. Is once you find out who you are, being able to show different versions of yourself to yourself and be able to retrain people to how they see you, right? And so I've been speaking the last X amount of years. Before that, I was CFP. People knew me by CFP. Well, that logo is gone. Now I'm just speaking now. So I had to really believe in Will Baggett and not just an organization that was on my chest, right? And now it's like, okay, I'm doing commercial real estate now. That's a retraining as well. So how do you retrain people to do that and be able to take that risk and be able to get that blowback of, wait, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Right? Because I want to. That's why.
Hello. Oh
And that's
gosh,
it,
let me
right?
be.
So
Because I
iterations
feel like it.
of yourself, right? Be willing to rebrand and show people different versions of you, right? Take that blowback, get through that tough part. And the third thing is really the influence. So once you know who you are, really going back to that basics, showing different versions of yourself, trying different things. It's like if you shooting pool and you in the opening break you knock in a solid ball and a strike ball, you can survey the entire table and determine which direction you're going to go. But if you never hit the opening break, you're not gonna know what you like to do,
Right.
right? And so that influence comes from going through the first two steps. There's no magic pill, there's no magic button. You'll go through those dark spaces. But I've learned that, I've had some dark times, but those dark times are now content for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's real.
So much.
Yeah, it's vulnerability, right? And it's because I think as AI and technology and social media
Evolve.
continues to proliferate, there's going to be a higher desire for vulnerability and authenticity. People are willing to say, I screwed
Yeah.
up. I missed the mark. You know what I mean? Because everybody in that room can relate to that because everyone's missed the mark at some point in time. So those are the three things: introspection, iteration, and influence.
Right. And I say be willing to take the risk. I understand that it's hard to step away from something that you've been doing like your whole life or that you've been crafted or molded to do. Yep. And a lot of people feel like they can't do anything else because, they don't know if they're good at it. Like you said, try it, be willing to fail, but know that it's going to get better if you keep trying it. Like nobody gets it the first time unless you're just a genius,
Yeah.
But it's
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah. No,
it's okay.
Absolutely. It is okay.
And another question from the crowd while we speak on football. I guess, we represent for our HBCUs today. And again, please forgive me for my lack of football knowledge when I say this. So, okay, so we know that we have the HBCUs and we have other universities. And oftentimes the HBCUs don't get the right amount of marketing or the same amount of, TV time as other institutions. Do you feel or do you know how there's a better way for HBCUs to market themselves in order to be able to gain such publicity? Because there is clearly a market, for HBCU fans just like anybody else. So what exactly is the totem pole that's keeping them from getting that type of
I mean, the short answer is money. The long answer is money, right? And so there's a book I read and I highly recommend that everyone reads. It's called The $40 Million Slaves by William Roden. And he profiles the athletic journey I'm talking about all the way back to the 1700s of when, people and Black people became really good at sports. I don't know if you may know this already, but Black people were the original jockeys when it came to horse racing.
I did know that. I learned that off that Note movie.
Exactly, right? We were the original at that. Exactly. And so even if, I'll be honest with you, even if it were not for barriers to entry and resources, you would see a majority of African American athletes in baseball and golf, right? but that equipment just costs so much more than it does just to go outside and shoot some hoops or go outside and run a route, right? It's a
Yeah.
low barrier to entry. So the first thing I think is money, and it starts from our foundations, right? It starts from, the situation we grow up in. Can we afford to put ourselves in the best position? So that's a whole different story. When it comes to the actual HBCU realm and as it relates to PWIs, the resources and the money and the demand for the product is just far and away, because capitalism is based on what the market will bear and what you can get from whatever you got. And as you saw with Dion, when he was in that space,
Yes.
you saw, like, because he had that star power and that profile. And so I saw a picture the other day, a graphic, when Saban retired. They talked about the winning coaches of all time, and they left a guy off of there by the name of Eddie Robinson, right? Eddie Robinson was the coach at
Okay.
Grambling, for a number
Shout out
of
to
years.
Graham fam.
Yeah, won 9 national championships.
Dang.
And what happens is people try to like diminish what he accomplished, saying because it was at the HBCU realm, but he also produced 200 NFL draft picks and a number of Hall of Famers.
What?
So if you ask me, Eddie
Records.
Robinson is the greatest coach of all time, and I'll argue with anybody that wants to argue. And this is coming from someone that's worked in the PWI world for 11 years. So
Right.
bring your knowledge with you. I would say that the biggest thing is going to be, and if you read that book, you'll see that we had the best football product, up until like the 70s and 80s before, integration really, really started happening.
Yeah.
And what happened was, as the story goes, Alabama was playing USC, and the coach Bear Bryant was basically getting his butt whooped by USC because they had African American players. And after the game,
He was like,
as the rumor has it,
him.
yeah, he said, "Give me some of them N-words down here." The rest is history. And so what William Roden says, and he's an African American male, he says that we as a people missed a huge opportunity when we had the best football product, because they were all at the HBCUs, and there was no, you know what I mean?
Right.
They were at TSU. There was Jake Gaither. There was Eddie Robinson, right? There were these historical figures, but they just didn't know how to market themselves, right, the right way. So the long answer is, or the short answer to it is, I don't have the solution for it, to be honest with you. Because it's all based on capitalism and what people want to see. But the thing about it is, like, when I went to an HBCU game for the first time, I went for the first time 2 years ago. The first
what?
time.
So you were in football prior to that for 11 years, and you had never attended an HBCU game?
I was blinded from it, right? And I think a lot of the general public is blinded from it as well. African Americans as well as non-African Americans, right? You know what I mean? So we can't just say that it's only, us that are watching. There's people that don't look like us that may find value in that product as well, if they were exposed to it. I wasn't exposed to it, right? I was never around it, right? And so I went to a HBCU game, and I saw, like, it was halftime. I'm getting ready to go get something food at the concession stand, and nobody's moving. I'm like, why everybody sitting down? The band's about to play.
You do not move.
I didn't know
after
that.
the band is gone.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to take risk takers that, and high profile prospects that, will choose HBCUs. But the other issue we have now, you look at Travis Hunter that went to Jackson State. The issue we have now is NIL now. And now there's no loyalty to any schools, right? There's starting players, starting quarterbacks, starting running backs that were playing in a school and started every single game, that are leaving their schools because they got a $200,000 offer that was more than what they were making at a different school. So there's zero loyalty now.
So they can get college offers, is pretty much what you're saying, for them to be able to play anywhere, and they don't have to.
Technically, it's not legal, right? But you have these collectives, these third parties that are basically saying, "Hey, come here, we'll give you $200K, $300K, whatever it is." So these guys are getting paid real money, and so unfortunately, I think that hurts.
Again.
Yeah, it hurts our product, to be honest with you, because again, resources and people willing to go back and donate, right? And I'll say this. I'll say the last thing I'll say to this, because I'm really passionate about this. The last thing I'll say is, we as African Americans have got to get life insurance policies. I do not sell life insurance, but that's the only way.
For that.
Right. If we decided that we're going to just argue about relationships with the rest of the world's existence, at least get a life insurance policy so your descendants can have an opportunity to go further, right? Or even donate to these schools or whatever it is to help them move forward. It takes money. It takes money. That's the easiest way I can put it.
I hear that. I hear that. And like you said, the money, the resources, we always know that, like you said, that's most of the time why, kids are I guess I don't want to say kids, student athletes are looking to get drafted to these PWI institutions, is because of the resources they have, the access that they have to the, the ESPN games, or, ESPC. that plays a big factor, like you said, because everybody wants to be seen, and then that creates the higher probability of them being able to go to the league, right? Like most of the drafts are coming from PWIs and HBCUs. So I appreciate the input on that.
That's right.
Can you again drop the name of the book, please?
$40 Million Slaves by William Roden.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to get that. I know a few people that could benefit from that book.
Please read that book.
Right. So speaking of books, you are a 2-time author now. So you've written 2 books at this point. Like you said, your first book was in 2016, and so your second book, has it dropped yet?
An ebook. It was I think it was last year, like January of last year. So it's free on our website, monetizeyourmessage.com. It's for people that are looking to get into public speaking. And like I said, there's a lot of different ways to do it. We're as honest as possible with people. I think a lot of people think they can just jump on stage and start talking. To do this effectively can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years to build this and sustain this the right way. And so that one's free, but I would say I'm a 2.5 or 2.5 time author, because I'm working on the third one now. It's a fiction book, and I'm saying this publicly so I can give myself accountability to go write and finish this bad boy when we get off. So
so when you're writing these books, are they also self-publicized?
So the first one, we actually, you know what? I'm sorry, no, it wasn't. The first one was published by a publisher out of California, and so my partner had a plug. We paid no money down, and they charge us $5 per book.
That's not bad.
You know what I'm saying, to buy from them, and then we sell it for like 15, and so on and so forth. But if you are thinking about writing a book, make sure you know about media mail. Media mail is basically where you can actually pay less to send your books out than you would a regular postage stamp. Just ask, they don't tell you about that, but ask the post office about media mail. And they're like, oh, how you know about that, right? And then instead of paying $8, $9 to send your book off or whatever it is, they'll charge you $3 to do it.
Wow.
It's called media mail, real talk. So write the book. I'm telling y'all, if you think about writing a book, write it. Also, my cousin, she's on here, Shattered Vows, her book just dropped, and she's self-published. So if you want to know how to self-publish, holler at my cousin, Kristen Watson. She's on the live as well. So
okay, Kristen.
Yeah.
Hey, girl. Hey, look, and I know, and I asked that because I know a few people, that are looking to write their own books. A lot of people feel like they have stories to tell, and I tell people all the time, especially because of the way that, the way that the internet and things like that work. I'm like, you really can do this by yourself as far as publicizing and stuff like that. I'm like, so just write, like I said, just write the book,
write it,
get started, and. I won't speak on my method because I'm like not an author yet. Yeah. But I get a lot of people that ask me, because I have worked on scripts before. They're like, today, how do you get started? I always tell people, take it back to elementary school when your teacher was telling you, to write a story. You start with your outline and just look at those, the stories that you're trying to tell as chapters. Get them in order and put it together. Is there any advice on what your process is for writing a book? I know.
Absolutely, yeah. So what I did is I emptied my brain first. So I remember I had my iPad at the time, and I had like 40-something bullet points of just everything I wanted to cover. They were short, 3 or 4, maybe word phrases. I want to talk about this, talk about that, talk about this. And then I took those 40 points and I got them down to 20. Those 20, I got them down to 10. And those became the primary chapters. And so those bullet points became major headers and then sub points underneath that, right? And so to your point, right, that's the main thing that I did. And I just started writing. I think you have to be passionate enough about what you're writing about to actually finish it. And so I highly recommend it. Like, everyone needs to write their book, because when you get that first copy in your hand, I'm telling you, it does something to you. So highly recommend it. And it'll benefit so many more people, because I think what happens is we think that a book has to be a certain length.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. The book is 26 pages, but it's right in your face. Like, from word 1 to the last word, it's right in your mouth with direct, actionable stuff. So don't limit yourself to thinking your book has to be a certain length. And then also, I say it all the time, don't use the I needs, I got as like, if you want it bad enough, you're going to figure out a way to do it. And so you just have to go out and do it. And they'll talk about, well, how am I going to get it published? Or how am I going to get it in people? Like, you're skipping over 30 steps.
Before you get that far. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Analysis paralysis, you know what I'm saying? So I think the biggest thing is just start writing. And I promise you, all those other things work themselves out. And now publishing companies that are owned by individuals are popping up left and right, because they're looking at the recurring revenue from it. So one, you may pay $3,000 or $4,000. I know some people pay that money. I didn't do that. to get the book published in the first place. And then every time you order a book from them to go sell it, they're getting a cut off of each book that you're buying from them, right? These companies are popping up everywhere.
Right.
So you can find it, but also, like I said, my cousin Crispin, she self-published 100% through Amazon and got it done. So if you want to know how to do that, get at Crispin, because I don't know how to do it. She will give you a fair price. I
Yes,
promise.
you know, I also have a friend. Her name is Mishi. That's Mishy. Mishi writes, and she published her book also through Amazon, and she does editing now. So if you're writing it, and you need a second set of eyes on it. Mishi writes, definitely somebody that that also looks to edit, and I too like editing transcripts and things like that. So if you're trying to bounce some ideas, you're like, oh my gosh, Sinead, can you read over this? I love it. Me and my red pen are like, well, I have a lot of pens in my. I have
tip me now, because this fiction book, it's a beast. Don't tip me. I'll show it to
send
you.
it my way. I think it's more exciting to see, you know, where people are trying to go with things, or, you know, to see where you know, how it started and what their process is. So I definitely like looking at rough drafts and stuff like that, giving feedback. But most of it, you know, is grammatical and things like that. You should never try to change somebody's message when you're editing, just as a tip. But I definitely love the whole background or being behind the scenes of, you know, the creative process, helping other creatives out. So shout out to all my future writers out there. When you get a book, make sure you let me know. If I drop a book, I'm gonna let y'all know, because it's always been on my mind. So don't tempt me. You might have feel the fire wheel.
When
no
you drop.
idea.
When you drop. When.
Look. Let me challenge myself. Hold on, y'all.
I'm gonna tell you my main strategy for writing books, y'all. And this I hope this helps you. Write the last 3 sentences first of the book. Write the very last 3 sentences first of the book, because that's going to be what you want to communicate and get across at the end of the day, right? So what do you want people to walk away with at the end of reading this book? No matter what direction you go, write those last 3 sentences or last paragraph first, and then work backwards. So that way, if you go left, right, up, or down, you still know I got to get to these last 3, 4 sentences. And that's what I did. I wrote the last 3 sentences, and the last sentence was, may your influence outlive you.
Amen.
Right? So I remember that last sentence. I wrote it first. I don't remember any other sentences but that one, because I wrote it first. You know what I mean?
That's a hell of a sentence, too.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Real talk.
That's
so start. Yeah. Let's get it done.
That's what's up. And lastly, you have just obtained your commercial real estate license. Can you tell us a little bit about what you plan to do with that? I see that you've already booked some spaces for some people, so you wasted no time as soon as you got licensed.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what projects do you have ahead for that?
Absolutely. So who needs space? Holla at your boy. We got space. We got units in the city. So I'm super excited about that, mainly because one thing is I'm a 7th-generation entrepreneur.
Amen.
Dating back my grandfather, right? And I had my own franchise a couple years ago, and I remember the feeling of getting the keys, just like when I got the first copy of my book. And again, creating experiences is what it's all about. And so the real estate piece, one, yes, commercial real estate is lucrative, right? I'm not going to front. Right. But also I'm creating experiences for people, and also giving them a chance to create generational wealth, right? By actually putting them in the game. Because there's a lot of stuff about commercial real estate that people don't know, because it's an old boys club. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm going to a summit tomorrow here in Dallas at Maggiano's Italy, and like $100 for the summit, right? But here's the thing. Here's the key point about it. One of my guys sent it to me, you know, and said, hey, who wants to come? I said, I'll come. I looked at the lineup of speakers. There were 26 speakers that are going to be doing, you know, different topics and things. There were 26 speakers and 0 African Americans. Like, that's what this game looks like, right? So I wanted to get in, because I think commercial real estate is like less than 3% minority. Right? And so anytime, you know, they're quiet about it, there's not many of us in it, that's when you know they get into it.
Yeah,
right?
that's a money meeting
exactly,
right there.
Right. And so I had some people that didn't look like me that let me in.
Amen.
Right? With you, right? And with that, you know, to your point, so far, I won't disclose client names, but I'm working on barbershop for one of my clients, and so we identified a space. So we're looking to tour that this week. Also, a commercial kitchen. You know, I posted about that today. So that's exciting. Cloud kitchens are like really blowing up these days, because people don't want to get the investment of a huge space. So 200 square feet, they can cater, deliver out of there. So working on that. And the third thing is I just got an opportunity for a $1.2 million storage space and or laundromat. So that's what the client wants to spend. I just have to find, the actual space. So I'm working on that, hard and heavy right now to get that going. So I've been licensed maybe 3.5 weeks, but I think it comes down to relationships. And also when people are seeing you're doing the small things well, like, hey, you've done well in X space, it has a transferability to other sectors, right? And so, if I take my speaking seriously, I've taken college sports seriously,
Right.
I'm off the ball in commercial real estate. And then also the last thing is communication. Like, when someone reaches out to me, if you don't get a response in 10 minutes, I'm on a plane. You know what I mean? Usually it's 5. Usually it's 5 minutes,
Right.
right? So that's the biggest thing, is creating that trust and following up when they don't ask you. And so I've sent my clients at least 3 updates a piece already,
Yeah.
just to make sure they know I'm working on it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So,
I'm
but yeah,
just
I'm
gonna,
excited for it.
yeah, I'd rather me give you the update so you don't even have to ask me
Straight up.
questions, because this is what I'm working on it. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is the process, this is where we're at.
absolutely.
That's entrepreneur, man. That's part of the process. Love it. So, Mr. Will Baggett, you are in many different aspects of your entrepreneurship. Can you tell us, what can we do as a whole to support your business?
I would say just be nice. Just be nice to people. I've gotten more done in business than anything else just by being kind. You know what I mean? So I've been blessed. What's for me is going to be for me, and I'm just fully confident that this is going to work out in my favor. But if someone needs help, I'm always willing to help out, and we can go from there. But rest assured, I always say this. I think sometimes people are sometimes scared to be themselves or really speak on the power of excellence, right? But people like Nick Saban, unapologetic about it. Deion Sanders, unapologetic about his greatness. And one of my favorite quotes from him was, "Don't let my confidence offend your insecurity."
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so the way I'm approaching speaking, the same way I'm approaching commercial real estate, as I'm doing this now and I'm learning this business, I will be the top agent in Dallas in the next 5 years. Like,
Claim it.
I don't, not black, not just top,
Claim
right? Because
it.
I have a plan for it, right? And I care about people, and people, need help and need assistance. So if you want to work with the best, someone that knows this, that has actually spent the money on a franchise, that knows this inside and out, then give me a shot. We got your back.
And I am rooting for you. I am so excited to hear about these future endeavors that you have, especially, like you said, I know that they're very self-driven. So I know that you yourself are personally putting in this work, gaining this knowledge. So to be able to have access to you is definitely a treasure that, doesn't go unnoticed. So I am 100% grateful that you're able to come on the Melody Mike show and drop some gems for us today. Like Will said, hit him up for clearly all aspects
Of
of
life,
of life right now. He is involved in a little bit of everything. But you have a link in your bio, yeah, where they can purchase your books too, right?
Yeah, everything you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't hard to find.
Yeah, I'm
Not.
like, his stuff is set up real professional. So the link in his bio to get access to his books, and please go support Mr. Will Baggett with both of his books. We are going to hold you to this third one, because
appreciate that.
Waiting on it. And look, if I decide, or when, look, I'm gonna hold myself accountable. When I decide to write my book, I'm definitely, look, words matter, y'all. They matter. Be careful what you speak. So yes, when I decide to write my book, I'll definitely let the Melon and Mike fam know.
Yeah.
But Will probably get the undercover scoop, because he clearly knows what he talking about ahead of time.
Absolutely. Let me tell you this real quick. Let me do this real quick. But everybody that's on the call, man, please support Tanae. Like, I don't know if y'all would understand what y'all are looking at, but Tanae's a star. Like, she just, and anytime that someone creates a platform that willing to listen to people talk about themselves, that's a really caring person, right? They really take that much in constantly, give people a platform. Like, I'll make it business from this. I got you. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? But let's make sure we're supporting her posts, supporting her guests, because she's doing a great job and she cares about what she's putting out, and she does a great job of it. So I want to make sure that you get your flowers. If not for you creating this platform, that I'm not even here. So you exposed me to your audience, and so I want to say thank you. I appreciate you.
I thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Yes, and I mean, I can speak to say, a lot of times people are like, saying, why aren't you like, more, or why is it Melanie and Mike more about you, or why don't you get on all the time and talk about you? And I'm like, Melanie and Mike is bigger than me. I'm a part of it. I am an aspect and an advocator for it, but it is so much bigger than me. I'm not that content creator that's gonna push me in my pocket and take you to a grocery
Yeah,
store and all that other stuff. Like, no, that's that's so not what we're about here. But I definitely, like you said, am trying to do my best to utilize the platform to put people on or expose them to things that they wouldn't necessarily see or have that opportunity to gain that type of knowledge in their day-to-day lives. So again, I'm grateful that people like you, Mr. Baggett, are willing to come and share your stories with the Melanin Mike
I
fam.
got
So
I got you.
make sure y'all tune in next week
Mhm.
as we talk to Kavanaugh, our tax preparer and finance entrepreneur. He is also a oh my gosh, what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm going to say he's a community activist. He
Yeah,
might not say it, but
yeah.
I'm going to say it because Kavanaugh is always in the city. He's always doing great things. I think even yesterday they helped an area over in Third Ward plant gardens and help raise them and protect them from
Wow.
the cold so that the plant lasts through the winter. So Kavanaugh is definitely a treat for you guys. I can't wait for you guys to tune in next Tuesday. But until then, make sure you love on somebody today,
Yeah.
even if that somebody is
You.
you. And thank you all for tuning in. You can catch the show. It'll be posted on YouTube as well as Melon and Mike podcast, which is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff by Friday. So
Awesome.
if you missed it, don't worry. We'll have it out there for you guys so you can
Awesome.
replay. But thank you again, Will, for
But
tapping in, and I'm sure I will speak with you soon.
so much love,
So,
sis. Appreciate you.
yes, please be safe out
All right, you
there,
too.
and thank you guys for
Bye.
tuning in.
For sure.
Bye.